Hello everyone, today we're going to be going through every single engine that I own. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, and I'll see you at the end of the video. Now up first here we have a sort of modern Athearn engine. It's made by AMD and I cannot for the life of me remember the name. It's number 101, and it's a semi-decent locomotive. It can't run over points very well, and it usually stalls out and it can't haul my cars, but it's a nice locomotive. And we'll see what's up next. Up next here, we have an Athearn Blue Box SW series engine in the Pensy livery. It's not that good of an engine, but it can haul and switch cars and go between switches pretty well. And yeah, nothing much to talk about. It's just a normal Blue Box. Up next is just a rubber band drive engine from Athearn. I made a dummy engine so I could run it. Not much to talk about it. It does have couplers. Well, mechanical couplers. Next up, we have an Athearn Blue Box with DCC, detailing by me, and painted by me. DCC was not that hard to install on this thing, along with the train phone antennas on top. So yeah, apart from that, not much interesting about it, and we'll see what's up next. Up next, we have a Proto 2000F unit. This thing is a pain. Installing DCC on it was a pain. It has sound DCC in it. It also has directional lighting. Granted, there's no light on the back. And yeah, not much to talk about besides train phone antennas being nicer than the ones on the Athearn engine. So yeah, apart from that, nothing really interesting. On the next engine. Up next, we have a Shark Nose engine. Now, this one's also a dummy because its motor did work. If you go to one of my earlier videos, you'll see it working when the motor didn't explode. So yeah, nothing too interesting about this engine. And we should be going to the next engine right about now. Up next, we have an Athearn Blue Box Alco PA detailed by yours truly. It's painted up in the Pensy livery, but it does have numbers and the keystone put on by me. Nothing too much about this engine. Its motor did burn out a while ago and I had to replace it. And yeah, that's sort of it. Up next, we have a pair of Jeep 20s by Walthers. Nothing too interesting about these engines, as usual. They have been with me for a little while. But apart from that, nothing really too interesting. They used to have a figure on the front, which I don't think was ever on this channel. And yeah, that's it for them. Up next here we have a Bachmann Spectrum Baby Trainmaster. It's my only piece of Bachmann Spectrum locomotives. And apart from that, nothing too interesting about it. It does have functioning lights, and it is a little bit weathered. So yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, there is crew in the cab. Up next, we have a Bachmann RS3. It came equipped with DCC from the factory. Nothing too interesting about it. It has directional lighting, and I had to trim down the steps on it, so that way it could go through the bridges on my layout. So yeah, nothing too interesting about it. And on to the next engine. Now the next engine here is a Bachmann 1980 Santa Fe U-boat. The front truck needs wire starter to it, so it has power pickup. And it also needs grab irons. So yeah, apart from that, that's really all about this engine. It's a pain to run. As you can see, it stops at random places. Up next here we have the Athearn Blue Box SD45. This really doesn't have much interesting about it, apart from it being a birthday gift to me. It's missing its handrails, since I still need to install those. And yeah, nothing too interesting about this engine. Next up here we have a pair of Athearn Blue Box AA Trainmasters. One's a dummy, one's powered. One also has its handrails installed. Nothing too interesting about these engines. They're just good runners, except for the dummy. It doesn't run that well, it derails a lot. So yeah, nothing too really interesting about these engines, apart from the fact they were birthday gifts. Do plan on weathering them and installing decals on them, but apart from that, they're pretty good. Up next, we have an ICGG1 with directional lighting. Nothing too interesting. This thing's been on my channel for ever since the beginning. You could see it in my first YouTube short. So yeah, pretty good engine. Can still haul a lot, and does still haul a lot, alongside its GG1 from Bachmann that I'll show you in a moment. Up next here, I have a Bachmann GG1, which used to have DCC, but no longer. It's a pretty good runner, it has directional lighting, pantographs that go up and down. So is the HC one, but it's pretty cool in the Bachmann. Now, if you want to see this engine running, you can look into some of my other videos. So yeah, that's it for this engine, and on to the steam engines. Up for our first steam engine, we have a Model Power 040. This thing used to have side paneling. Then I tried taking a marker to it to turn it into a Santa Fe engine for some reason. So yeah, that's a interesting engine. Up next, we have a box of parts. I like to laugh at it. Up next, we have a Mantua 060. This thing used to have lighting that burned out, and now it has an issue where the polarities are reversed, so backwards is forwards, and forwards is backwards. It has a few things wrong with it, but apart from that, it's a good engine. Up next, I have an engine I'm working on, turning from a Union Pacific 060 with a destroyed funnel to a Pennsylvania Railroad 060T tank engine. It's mostly done, just have to paint it, weather it, and add decals. So yeah, that's all for that engine. Here we have a Broadway Limited 280, my only Broadway Limited engine, and it runs pretty well. The side rods are all perfect, the directional lighting. For some reason the light doesn't stay in the cab when it's running, that's kind of weird. But yeah, that's really it for this engine. It also cost me an ungodly amount of money, I'm not going to say. And yeah, that should be it. Now let's watch it pull out. Up next, we have a Mantua 462 Pacific in the Pennsylvania livery. I gave this thing smoke deflectors since the Pennsy liked experimenting with Pacifics, and they did this at one point. And yeah, not much about it besides it doesn't have any lighting anymore after they burned out. And yeah, good engine. Up next, we have a Proto 2000 2882 steam locomotive. This thing used to be a Y6A for Norfolk and Western, but Pennsy bought it and turned it into a Y6A for them. This thing is just great puller, has DCC installed by me, and yeah, decent locomotive. The lights did burn out since they're not meant for DCC, but yeah, you can see that running in some of my other videos. Up next, we have a friend from Sodor, Horby Thomas. This was a project. Well, this is something I bought to annoy my dad since he does not like Thomas very much. And yeah, decent runner. I do have the passenger cars for it, but not any trucks to pull it with. So yeah, this is a semi-decent locomotive. And that's basically it for it. Up next, I didn't know if I should count this as an engine or not, but I am. It is a Milwaukee Road rotary snowplow. This is a pretty good engine. The blades actually spin on the front, which I've rather like. It runs pretty well. It doesn't stall out on any points. Well, blades don't stall out on any points, but that's a good thing. They don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. And yeah, it has to be pulled since it doesn't have pulled or pushed since it doesn't have the motor to drive it. But yeah, that's it. Hope you liked this video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did. And I'll see you on the next one.